this is Not Netflix Natters, Series 3, Episode 3, The Invisible Curriculum at Home. Hi and welcome. I'm Jan Falconer. I'm a children's author and a grandmother, and this is Not Netflix Natters. Now today, I'd like to talk to you about something that most families never talk about. A curriculum that isn't written down. A curriculum that doesn't appear in schools. A curriculum that nobody formally teaches, but children learn from it every single day. I call it the invisible curriculum at home. Now, when most people hear the word curriculum, they think about reading, writing, maths, and everything that happens in school. But long before a child will enter a classroom, they are already learning. They're learning what matters. They're also learning how people treat each other. They're learning how mistakes are made and handled. And they're learning whether curiosity is welcome. They're also learning whether books are valued. They are learning what a family pays attention to and what it ignores. Now, nobody sits down with them and teaches these lessons, yet somehow they learn them anyway. And that's what fascinates me. Because when we talk about children's development, we often focus on schools, technology, social media, and government policy. Of all those things, they do matter, but there's another curriculum operating much closer to home. The culture children live inside every single day. Developmental psychologist Yuri Bronfenbrenner recognized this decades ago. He argued that children develop through their interactions with the environment around them. At the center of those environments sits the family. And when I look back at the families I worked with over the years, I think he was right. Children notice everything. They notice who reads. They notice who apologizes. They notice how adults react when things go wrong. They notice whether disagreements are handled calmly or loudly. They notice which stories are told over and over again. And slowly, without anyone intending it, those observations become lessons. Not lessons about mathematics or spelling, life lessons. In many ways, families have a curriculum all of their very own, an invisible curriculum. Sociologist Annette Leroux explored something similar in her work, Unequal Childhood. What interests me about her work was not whether one family approach was better than the other. It actually was the idea that some families create different cultures, different expectations, different ways of communicating, different opportunities, and children absorb these differences. Family culture is also carried through stories. Every family has them. Stories about grandparents, like Granddude by Paul McCartney, Stories about funny disasters like the bye-bye pie. Stories about perseverance. Stories that become part of family folklore. These stories do more than entertain. They teach children who they are. They teach children where they belong. I often think about something that Paul McKenna says, and he says it a lot. He describes parents as the child's first hypnotists. Not because parents are hypnotizing their children, but because young children absorb language, beliefs, and expectations so readily. The words they hear repeatedly often become part of the story that they tell themselves about who they are. And perhaps that is why the smallest moments matter so much. The bedtime story, the board game, the family outings like a walk, the conversations in the car or the bus, the shared joke around the dinner table. These moments may not feel educational, yet some of the most important learning happens there. Developmental psychologists Kathy Hirsch-Pasek and Roberta Golinkoff came to a similar conclusion. Children learn through conversations, play, exploration, and relationships. Learning isn't confined to the classrooms. It happens throughout everyday life, which brings me back to the invisible curriculum. Every family has one. Whether they realize it or not, they have one. The encouraging thing is, this is not about perfection. No family is perfect. No parent is perfect. And no grandparent is perfect either. The invisible curriculum is not built through grand speeches. It's actually built through repeated moments. Small moments. Ordinary moments. The sort that happens often when it seems insignificant at the time, yet years later, they are often the moments that children remember. Long before children understand the world, they're learning how to live in it. And much of that learning begins at home. So thank you for joining me with this episode of Not Netflix Natters. Until the next time, take care. And if you like this, subscribe, like, comment.